What are the common traits you find in some of the people that you want to invest in early on?
Yeah, so it's probably like being insightful, being pretty smart. I think it's like a baseline. You have to. There's a certain level of intelligence or like, sharpness. I don't know if that's a good way to think about it. Um, Also, I think resiliency and grit is pretty important because if you're starting a company, if you're starting anything, it's probably not going to be successful right away. Kind of just got to grind at it for a long time. Maybe you know what I'm talking about. You're nodding. Uh, so I think being able to find proof points of some of those things is pretty important. Those are probably some of the big things. And then just in terms of investing in companies, it's like a market that I really like. We made one very small web 2.5, I guess I would call it investment, but completely stayed away from crypto because I just didn't like the market. It didn't make sense to me. I didn't understand why a lot of things people were saying didn't quite match up for me. And I thought maybe the timing was off. So market's really important too. Like, what are they building? Like, I think some like kind of a meme that I agree with is health tech is in the same spot as fintech was 10 years ago, where healthcare's super broken, 20% of GDP. It's basically a scam. Like, it's the outcomes that we get are not very good. So it's like, okay, can we fix that? There's a lot of opportunities there. So it's like an interesting space that we're kind of trying to understand better, whether it's the hospital system, whether it's nutrition, or whether it's like fitness related, stuff like that. So market's also pretty important. And then also just like the here and now. Does it actually work? In terms of the product, like the core metrics, it's like, yeah, you're trying to be a publicly traded company, but no one's using it today. That's not going to work. You have to fix some stuff. Like you have to change the product. So there's generally times where it's like, wow, these numbers are really good. Like one of the investments we made, like it wasn't very big yet, but people really loved the product. And kind of my cheat code with being a consumer focused investor is I live in Michigan, normal people all around me. It's not tech people, it's not celebrities, it's not finance people. It's just normal, the average American. So you can kind of think about, cool, this works in LA. Does it work in Kansas City? Does it work in Detroit, Ann Arbor, Grand Rapids? That's where, in terms of as an investor, like that's how you really start to think about how does the company continue to grow and acquire more users and get larger and more customers. So it's kind of like a cheat code of like, oh, what does my wife think? What does my mother-in-law think? Like, what do all the people around me think? And you can kind of understand how they think about things. So it kind of helps escape the bubble of, cool, my best friend who's also a founder of a crypto startup thinks that this NFT thing is a good idea. Yeah, there's maybe some bias there, or so that goes into it. Yeah, so I'd say it's like the current product, the market, and then in terms of like other things like about the founder, it's like grit, intelligence, how sharp they are. I think dedication, seriousness. So I kind of tell people I don't take myself very seriously, but I'm a pretty serious person. So that also, you want people who are like really serious with what they do. Like it's a craft. In terms of investing in a startup, they're trying to build a publicly traded company. That's not just a side thing. Like it's not like I think I might mess around and start a company. It's like, no, you have to be pretty dedicated and all in and probably like 80 hours a week at a minimum. But you're thinking about it 120 hours a week. Like when you're not even when you're dreaming about it, maybe you're thinking about 168 hours a week. You're dreaming about what you're like the startup. So you find people that are really just dedicated, and it doesn't like there's a lot of VCs. There's things like we want missionaries. Like it's people. It's like their life's work. I think sometimes that's important, but it's not always. It doesn't have to be the case. It can definitely help. Like if you're making like a checklist, like a scorecard, like checking all these boxes. It's definitely a box, but it doesn't have to be checked necessarily. So yeah, that's kind of the thought process I go through.
I like Paul Graham's shower test thought, which is like, what do you think about what's top of mind when you're taking a shower as a good test for what you think is most impactful or what the project you actually should be working on. And probably the founders that you hope to be investing in are probably thinking about their thing in the shower If not, that's probably a sign that you're investing in the wrong person.
Yeah, I'd say so.